What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Magic Hour. I'm Curt.
I'm Paul.
And today we're going to be covering Terminator, Dark Fate.
The movie where James Cameron sends another director back in time to erase all those other Terminator movies.
Yeah, there were some bad ones.
I guess it's not fair to say all of them were
No.
bad.
I mean, the original couple were pretty good, I thought. But I mean, at that age...
What's the one with Christian Bale in? I thought that was horrible. Where they're shooting automatic weapons with bullets. And I'm like, where's my laser guns, man?
I don't remember it was a Terminator...
Salvation or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a numbered one. It was one that had its own ending name. Like this one, like Dark Fate. But this one, in my opinion, got back to the roots of what made Terminator so good.
Did it, though? Did it?
Well, it's been a while since I've seen the originals. However, I do remember these huge action sequences. And, they were like groundbreaking at the time. Nobody had done anything of that magnitude, really, with car chases and, And one thing I will say about this movie was the action started after the credits, actually before the credits, opening credits, and it was action all the way to the end. Minus a couple of very bad dramatic scenes. I will say that when they tried to go dramatic or emotional, it kind of missed the mark.
Well, one thing they did, they brought back Linda Hamilton. And that when I read an interview with Tim Miller, he's the guy that did Deadpool, by the way. They were asking why he thought all the other sequels to, because it's really sequels to Terminator Judgment Day, T2.
Right.
Really, that's what everybody's been trying. That's the unassailable mountain that everyone's been trying to climb ever since it came out. Because it's probably, I think you could argue it might have been the best action movie of all time.
T2?
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the best science fiction movies, bar none, but probably the best action film of all time.
I would lean to that direction, sure.
And one of the reasons I think, and see, this is crazy because one of the reasons why it has such a reputation is because anybody who you ask about that movie, well, what made it so special for its time? Well, the use of CGI. But if you go back and look at any of the documentaries done on the movie, a lot of that was not CGI.
I know, those were big, epic action sequences.
Because, at the time, T2 had a $100 million budget, right? That was the biggest budget of any film at that time. I mean, people were like, oh my God, what is he doing? And the reason for that is because there were so many practical effects. And I remember going and looking at that movie thinking, God, this CGI stuff is going to be awesome because this all looks real. But the fact is, they only used CGI when the Terminator was morphing.
Right.
Every other thing in that movie was practical effects.
Right. So I remember the sequence of the 18-wheeler driving into the drainage tunnel or drainage ditches in LA area that it was shot in. And I remember watching some behind-the-scenes stuff about how they filmed that, where they actually drove that 18-wheeler off that bridge.
All that stuff was real.
Yeah.
So when people say, well, that was the first time CGI was heavily used, yes and no. It's really the last movie that used a heavy amount of practical effects. And I think that's part of the problem why it's so hard for you to anyone to measure up to what that movie did, because there were so many practical effects. And my problem with this movie is that I was watching the whole time, and the action was great, but I was not believing what I was seeing. I could see that's CGI. There was a shot of the new Terminator running up. He's actually not even a Terminator, and we'll get in that in a second. He's a Rev 9, but he runs up a ladder, and you can tell it's CGI.
Yeah, there was at the very opening of the movie, Okay. I guess we kind of got to give everybody an idea of what the movie's about. So it picks up where, well, it not necessarily picks up where T2 left off, but it would kind of follow on that same storyline.
Yeah.
And but now the new target, because Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, her character is no longer being pursued because she had stopped the advancement of Skynet.
Well, you're leaving something out though. The movie starts, they're on vacation in like Guatemala or something. Her and John Connor.
Well, they're hiding. Yeah, they're in hiding.
Well, and he's still like a teenager. And
which I don't know how they did that, man.
Oh, it was all CGI because the scene opens. They're at a bar, and John's
the actor who played him is dead.
No,
yes,
he's not dead.
Yes, he is.
Eddie Furlong is dead.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about that, but
drop a comment below. If I thought I had heard that he OD'd on drugs or something.
Well, he did have problems with drugs, but I don't know if he's dead.
But anyway, so
CGI. Okay, they're sitting in a bar or something, and
like
John's,
a beach hut.
Yeah, a tiki bar, and John's up at the counter ordering something, and then CGI Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger CGI, and they're using that same de-aging technology that they used in Captain Marvel and all these other movies.
Gemini Man.
Yeah, but it didn't look. I didn't think it looked convincing. Linda Hamilton looked okay, but then CGI Arnold Schwarzenegger walks in, and you're like, that's CGI. Eddie Furlong looked pretty.
Yeah, I thought I was like, that is crazy. Like deep fake shit.
But when the veil all dropped when Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger enters the shot, and he shoots John Connor,
yeah,
and
kills him.
So that's how the movie begins. And apparently, through narration, we find out that even though they succeeded in destroying Skynet in the future, that Skynet had actually sent a third Terminator back in time. For some reason, the third Terminator was a regular T-800.
T-800, yeah.
Because they sent a regular T-800 the first time. Well, actually, when you in the second movie, you find out that two Terminators were sent: the T-800 and an experimental model. In this movie, apparently 3 were sent: 2 T-800s and the experimental liquid metal one in the second movie.
Right.
So I was like, But so that third T-800 actually, that third Terminator actually fulfills his mission. But Skynet doesn't exist anymore. So 1997 comes and goes. There's no nuclear apocalypse. But
October 13th, was it? Or 17th?
Something like that.
October 17th, 1997.
So that comes and goes, and
you're dead, and you're dead. Everybody's dead.
So that never happens. But okay, so you want to pick out where you were at?
Okay, so what I was saying is, so now there's one of those balls opens up, and out drops a
supermodel.
Yeah. Out drops a supermodel, completely naked, and she bounces off the bridge, and they're in Mexico, and you come to find out that this is Grace, and Grace is a human, but she's been augmented. She's very strong, very fast, but she can only be the super person in short spurts.
Yeah. And
she's been sent back to protect Natalie Reyes, who's playing Danny Ramos.
Yeah.
And Danny Ramos doesn't know what's going on, neither does her family, who immediately get killed.
Yeah.
But Grace is able to protect her because here comes the Rev 9, and he's made out of this venom-looking, I mean, I don't know, like.
Yeah, it was kind of venomous.
Wasn't it? It was like this
black ooze.
Yeah, it was like black ooze that was, I guess, nanotechnology, and he could turn into anything he touched. So they know that it killed his dad. They killed Danny's dad because he took on the form of Danny's dad and tried to kill Danny in the car factory, which you know something about.
Yeah.
In the car factory where she and her brother worked. Well, so they escape. The thing chases them. Epic, like, $1 million car chase scene, just in the sheer number of cars that they destroyed in that scene.
Well, were they real cars or CGI cars?
Who can tell these days? I mean, there were parts of, like, the Rev 9's jumps and running that looked real CGI.
Yeah.
I mean, his movement was not natural whatsoever. But I was entertained completely. Now, in the car chase, and this is when Linda Hamilton's character, Sarah Connor, shows up, and she has aged, but she's still a badass. And you can't kill this thing. But she certainly put a hurting on it so that they could escape.
Yeah.
So, take it from there.
So, they escape, and Linda Hamilton has to track them down again.
They stole her car.
Because they stole her car. And the most interesting thing about this movie is that Linda Hamilton says, you know, they're talking about this new Terminator, and she was like, it was sent from Skynet. The Skynet got, I guess, reconstituted or something. She's trying to figure out how Skynet still exists. And the character that Mackenzie Davis playing Grace says, what's Skynet? So that was the most interesting thing about this movie to me. The fact that they did succeed in Terminator 2, but man managed to screw it all up again. They created another sentient AI that manages to take over.
The military did.
The military did. So I think...
Sorry, I had beans for breakfast.
Some big ass truck. So that was the most electrifying thing for me. I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. But why is the Rev 9, which is what Grace calls this new Terminator, why is it so much like the Skynet Terminators? It's like they took the T-800 and the liquid T-1000 and they made one Terminator.
Yeah, and it could split off.
But it's not Skynet. It's some AI system called Legion. So what they were saying in this movie is, although you can prevent this terrible future from happening, the military is gonna keep making the same mistakes over and over again.
They never learn.
So Linda Hamilton has been killing these things since her son died. But this is the first confirmation she's had that this is not even Skynet. This is a new system. So I was thinking, my problem with that idea is it's a great new idea. It makes sense. Unlike those other movies that were made after T2, I feel like this is more of a real sequel because it acknowledges everything they did in the second movie without completely erasing it. Because I think in T3, the Rise of the Machines or whatever, they asked, the Terminator, because they sent another Terminator back to protect
a T-800.
Yeah, they asked him what happened, or we thought we did away with Skynet. He says, "Oh well, Skynet is eventual or something like that, or inevitable, like Thanos." But so. He says that, and but I don't know. That just didn't. They create another Skynet and call it the same thing. So I felt like they were borrowing a little bit from the third Terminator.
Well, you have to acknowledge the other ones.
Well, they acknowledge it, but this is more of a direct sequel to. This is the sequel I feel like James Cameron would have made.
Action, action, action!
Terminator Dark Fate is the direct sequel to Terminator 2. We pick up the characters that we knew from Terminator 2 and we carry them forward.
We get to continue the story with Jim back in the writing and the producing chair. He knows the material like nobody else.
He was just producer on this film.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that he wasn't part of directing it because it had so much similarities to T2.
Well, he's got that old Avatar sequel thing.
Oh, he needs to hurry up with that one. We've been waiting long enough. But anyway, that's another story.
So they took, I think they took elements from several of the sequels that didn't quite work. They took the thing about Skynet being inevitable. Sorry, I can't say that word. They took the thing about Terminator's aging from Genesis. So they took all these ideas but they remade them a little bit because, like I said, it's not Skynet, it's Legion. So
Well, that was one question I had was
my problem with this, if the military eventually created something else that's a lot like Skynet, why is this Rev 9 so much like the other Terminators and why are they using this same old back to the future technology to send a Terminator back?
Yeah, I mean, and the way exactly the same method has been used all the way through.
So it's essentially Skynet. That was my problem with the film. They create this whole new AI system, but the AI system's doing exactly what Skynet would have done, and creating the same type of robots. And I felt like this would have been a great chance to actually create some type of new. I don't even know. They could have created something new as a Terminator.
Well, the reality of it is, if you really want to be real, if this technology truly existed, and they had to come back and destroy one human, why do they keep just sending one at a time?
Yeah, that's another thing.
I mean, why don't they, if they're able to send more than one, why don't they send them all to team up against the human? And there's no way that it took all these people to fight this one. Could you imagine if there was 5 of them? Nobody stand a chance. But then you wouldn't have a movie and whatever. But
because look, they had the girl in the movie that they're trying to protect. She has 3 defenders because we find out later in the movie that the T-800 they killed. This is a big spoiler, so if you haven't watched the movie and you don't want anything spoiled, the big twist, there's a big twist. There's 2 twists actually. Stop this, go see the movie, then come back. But we find out that the T-800 that actually killed John Connor felt regret or something.
well, he said that he learned.
He didn't have a purpose when after he killed John Connor.
He basically grew a conscience.
Yeah.
His AI grew a conscience because he had, like you said, he had no purpose. Once he achieved his directive, he was just a wandering machine with no purpose. And because he was an AI and he learned from his environment, he learned how to become human, as much as a machine can, which was a reach. But he was one of my favorite. I mean, his character Carl. His character Carl was one of my favorite characters in the whole show.
Well, because he's been. They asked Linda Hamilton, Grace, and this girl, Danny Ramos, who's the new Sarah Connor. They asked her, "How did you know we were going to be on the highway about to get killed by this Terminator?" And she tells them that she's been getting text messages from some unknown source telling exactly where the Terminators are going to show up.
When and where.
And then they track down because Grace tells her that she was given coordinates, and the coordinates of somebody that could help her when she went back into the past. and the coordinates are the same coordinates from the person that's been helping Sarah Connor. So they go to this house. I think isn't it in Texas?
Laredo.
Yeah, it's in Texas, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger's there. He's, like I said, he's the T-800 that killed her son. So of course Linda Hamilton, I keep saying Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor wants to kill this T-800, but he's made a life for himself. He's took in some.
He's a father.
He's not. They got to that point. I was like, wait a minute. He's having sex, but then at one point during the conference, when he's explaining what he's been doing, he tells them that the relationship that he has with this woman is not physical. He took her in because she was getting abused by her husband, and she had this young son. So he's pretty much raised this boy who's not his, and took in this woman, and they've never had sex, I guess.
Because she's like, how does she not know you weigh 400 pounds and you're made out of steel?
Right.
Oh, our relationship is not physical.
So
but he is the king of the one-liners, man.
He's describing why she stayed with him or something, and why he made a good father. I'm very funny. He deadpans that line, and like funny. I started laughing when he said that, because he goes through all this list of stuff he's good. I'm a good provider. I have a good job. And I'm very funny.
I'm a great listener.
Yeah. And I just died laughing when he said that. And he has a drapery business called Carl's Draperies.
How about when they open up to the scene of them in the warehouse waiting on the Air Force general to come?
Yeah.
And he's like explaining why you don't put solid colors in the kid's bedroom.
Yeah, right.
Like, this is a murdering machine, and he's talking about
drapes.
Polka dots versus stripes.
I thought that was completely ridiculous, but it was so funny.
It was. And I'm going to say this. It was an observation I made. Is they attempted to give Linda Hamilton these little one-line, supposed to be humorous things, and it was complete silence in the theater anytime she would try to deliver one of those lines. But when Arnold came on and he was dropping his one-liners, man, the whole audience was cracking up. So he was the comic relief as well.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is as much people make fun of him. And you've seen everybody make fun of him. They made fun of him on Saturday Night Live, on Mad TV back in the day. Everybody, Opie and Anthony.
Hey, he's laughing right along with them on his mountain of money.
The guy is talented. He has this, I heard somebody say, I think it was Cisco and Evil, they say he has this goofy charm. But he deadpans all those lines. And it's just hilarious to hear him talking about drapes. It was just so funny. But so this time this girl, and see, here's another twist. First twist is that T-800 that killed her son is still alive, and that he's aged and he's taking a family. The second twist is Sarah Connor thinks this new girl they're after is the mother of some freedom fighter
leader. Yeah,
and I saw this coming a mile away, but it turns out that she's the freedom fighter. I was like, that's kind of sexist of Sarah Connor there, to just assume that
she should be the ultimate feminist.
Right. She just assumes that this woman is going to be the mother.
That her only purpose is to birth a great person.
Yeah, not a great person, a great man.
A great man, yeah.
Right. And she never assumes that. Oh no, this is the freedom fighter herself.
Which is great from the writers and Tim Miller, that they approach this to say, hey, the leader, the leader of the resistance and the person that's going to save the world, bring everybody together after Armageddon, is going to be a woman.
A Mexican.
A Hispanic
in
woman.
our current climate, a Mexican who slips across the border at one point during the movie. This is somebody who in certain segments of our community, we don't want to get political here, but this should be a demon, right? She's slipping into the United States. She's a dirty Mexican. She's the freedom fighter from the future.
She's a beautiful Mexican woman.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying.
Oh, I know.
That's how some people feel
about
Mexicans. So I thought that was a little bit too obvious, a little political. message they were trying to convey. But I was okay with it for the most part.
I mean,
So,
I think they made a lot more positive strides than they did negative.
but did they have to do the whole feminist? Oh, look, the protector of this freedom fighter is another woman. Didn't they already establish that females could kick ass in the first two Terminators?
Linda Hamilton in the first two was a freaking badass.
I mean, that's pretty much James Cameron's thing,
And
though.
even the ageism that is prevalent in Hollywood
Right.
was addressed in this, because you had an older Linda Hamilton that was still a badass.
Yeah.
Which I don't really say, because Arnold was supposed to be a robot, so you can't really. The reason he was a badass is because he was a robot, But she just could not deliver funny lines. I'm sorry, that's just not
I
how.
think it's been a long time since she acted, though. Has she done anything other than
Not that I'm aware of.
Terminator
So that
movies?
should tell you all you need to know, is that
Because
you and I would remember Linda Hamilton being in something.
Well,
I'm sure she's been in something since Terminator, but it probably wasn't.
acting is not something that like riding a bike. And I've heard actors say this. Like all those actors on, you heard about that new Picard show, that Star Trek. I heard the guy that plays Riker, Jonathan Frakes. I read an interview with him. He was talking about how hard it was, because he's been a director since Star Trek: The Next Generation went out the air. He said he hasn't acted since then. And he said coming back and starting that just act, it was very hard for him.
Right.
Because he does like a
They're
cameo.
acting, that's what they call it, acting muscle.
Yeah. You can't just pick it up
You got to
later.
exercise that acting muscle.
So, and the Jerry Ryan, who played 7 and 9, she was also in the Picard in a cameo. She said the same thing. She hadn't acted in so long, and it was hard. And not only that, is she had to do a particular type of acting when she did 7 and 9, because 7 and 9 was kind of robotic. She was like she's a cyborg. So she said she had to get back into that mind frame of what she was doing on the show, and it took her a while. So I think that has something to do with Linda Hamilton's troubles. I liked her.
I thought she played a heavy drinking, disgruntled mother whose her whole mission has been to kill. She played that character well. But like I said, it was just the writing where I think that was their attempts to try and make her funny in parts of it, but it just fell dead. And then they had a scene where after she got mad that the T-800 Carl was still alive, and she walked off in the woods and Danny followed her.
Yeah.
That was that they could have just left that out, because it was really bad.
That scene where she's talking about she can't even remember what John looked like.
Yeah, that was really bad.
She didn't keep pictures of him because she didn't want the
She couldn't even
Terminators to
force
know.
a tear. I mean, she's supposed to be distraught, and she couldn't even force a tear in the scene. So if I was a director and I shot that scene, I was like, that didn't look believable at all.
Yeah.
So I would have just cut it from the film. Because you could have had her walk off and not really follow her, just let her go stew somewhere. But anyway.
So what grade would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 4 to a 4.5, because my complaints were way outweighed by how entertained I was. Because you know me, I base my score on, was I entertained, was I sucked into the movie, where I'm not conscious of what's going on, I'm just in the story. And that's how I was. I didn't really look at my phone or,
I was entertained, but I kept getting taken out of it the more outlandish the stunts got. They had this whole scene near the end of the movie. They're on this cargo plane, and they're flying, and then Terminator has a cargo plane, and he crashes the cargo plane into their cargo plane and jumps into the cargo plane, and they're fighting him in the bay of the cargo plane, and it got so CGI. Is that a word?
Yeah, it is now.
There was so much CGI that it took me out of the. I didn't feel like anybody was in danger, because they survived that 2 freaking cargo planes colliding, and then they fell to the earth in a Humvee, which with a parachute. And
Yeah,
it's
that
just
one was that was a little stretch where it went under the water and they were.
Yeah, they were just.
It was, and I don't know if you know anything about Humvees, but they're not watertight. They're not watertight unless this was some special aquatic Humvee, but a normal Humvee is put together like an erector set. I mean, so the fact that they were under the water and there was no water getting in until the Rev 9 was trying to get in.
Yeah.
And then she shot through the glass at the Rev 9, and all it did was make holes. All that pressure of the water pushing on it didn't just.
Yeah.
So that was.
You know, it was. We've seen. See, here's my issue, and I would give it like a 3.5. Here's the issue. There will never be a movie that matches Terminator 2.
I agree.
This movie is the closest thing we'll ever have to that because James Cameron was involved. I feel like he should have directed though. And another thing, a problem I have with the film, the future that Grace came from didn't seem as bad at all as the future in the original films. Man, the contrast between those two futures were not even close, man. Because you feel like there's been just a war, some kind of really destructive war in this version, but not an all-out nuclear war. And some of that has to do with the fact that a lot of the scenes you see in the future are during the day. It's like all those scenes in the old Terminator movies were at night.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really dark. And there's not all these hunter-killer machines ravaging the landscape.
They had these octopus arms that were made out of that nano material.
And they didn't have laser guns. What happened to
They had laser guns.
Were those laser guns?
Yeah, they were laser guns.
Okay.
Yeah, you had to go back and watch that.
Because when she was shooting it didn't look like was not like a red bolt or blue bolt coming out the end of it.
Well, when they're coming off the beach in that scene where the T.
That was her. I've read that as Sarah Connor referring to the original Skynet.
Oh, so that scene wasn't that Grace remembering back?
No,
because I thought that scene where Grace was in that fight,
because
where they were in that weird.
Remember that they show these T-800s coming out of the water onto this beach, and then they cut back to the past when it was just
a regular beach. Yeah.
Regular beach, because this is the same place where Linda Hamilton or Sarah Connor and John are at the beach.
Okay.
So that wasn't
so
the new future.
Maybe the humans didn't have.
Because the Terminators from the new future they look like a kind of an approximation of what a Terminator is, but they're kind of designed a little bit different.
They're like exoskeleton things.
And they're dark. They're like almost black.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Terminators in the original Terminator movies were just like
super silver, yeah.
Silver. So they changed a little bit, but okay, my biggest problem was I thought they could have. This is not Skynet. This is something called Legion.
Yeah. And
like you said, it was kind of more like nanotechnology because he was accessing. He breaks into a server farm at one point, and he just sticks his hand into some port, and he's like downloading all these cameras from all over to track them. So I felt like okay, that they kind of made this Terminator more like something that would have been designed in the internet age. Because in the second Terminator movie, the internet hadn't really
very young, yeah.
Very young. It hadn't really taken over like it has now.
And we will have we already have some nanotechnology. So it will be a thing of the future.
But I just felt like they could have gone, they could have completely reinvented what it means to be a Terminator. Instead of, they did in a lot of aspects, but I felt like they could have went further. I also felt like, wouldn't it have been cool if they find out halfway through the movie that it wasn't Legion that sent the Terminator back to kill this woman, it was the Resistance. And then they're sending Terminators back to kill this girl because she designed Legion.
Well,
that would have been more.
Wasn't that T2 where they went after the guy of Skynet?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, that wasn't his purpose. They didn't send the They reprogrammed that Terminator in Terminator 2, but his mission was again to protect John Connor. It wasn't to kill the guy who started Skynet.
Right.
Sarah Connor comes up with that idea when she goes to kill what's his name, Miles Dyson. Mm-hmm. She comes up with the idea to kill
true.
Miles Dyson. My thing is, I felt like maybe the Resistance sent a Terminator, or Grace. They sent Grace back, who's a human, an enhanced human, back to kill the inventor of Legion.
Well, that would make more sense than. Again, I mean, the more you think about it, the more holes you find.
So then Sarah Connor has to kill. They find this out like halfway through the movie. Then she ends up having to kill this little girl she's been protecting the whole movie. And she has to come to grips with the fact that she has to kill this woman, or billions of people will die. That would have been more interesting.
Well,
twist.
Here's the thing. At the end of this movie, Legion still existed.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to figure out something because Arnold's going to age out pretty soon. Him and Linda Hamilton both going to age out.
How are they going to... Nah, I don't think there's going to be another one.
You don't think so?
There's one thing about it. It grossed below expectations. They were expecting 35 to 40 million this weekend, and it was actually 26 to 27 million. So it's, I don't know.
And they got to recoup 185 million, right?
Yeah, they spent 185 million on this movie.
Well, go see it.
It's a good movie. I'm not saying don't go see it, but
hey, a 3.5 from him is not too bad.
I said that in one of my other reviews. This one with Dr. Sleep, I said, oh my God, this movie's awesome. If I say a movie's awesome, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I watched that review, and it made me want to go see it because I really didn't have any interest up to that point. And then I watched your review, and I was like, okay, I got to go see it.
But are you a Shining fan?
Yeah.
See, absolutely. I'm a Shining fan. I'm
not a super fan. But when I was a kid, man, Stephen King was my jam. I read every one of his books.
Okay. Well, I felt like I was for sure they were going to screw that movie up, and they didn't.
I mean, I'm not... I like Kubrick films. I mean, he makes good movies, but it was like I didn't study it or know that much about the movie until I got older, So
that's all we got for today. I'd like to thank my good subscribers. You guys are great. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give us a comment, like, and ring the bell, so you know exactly when we drop another one of these videos.
That's it, guys. Please comment below what you thought of this review and let us know what movies that are coming out in the future that you'd like to see us do. And we'll see you guys on the next video.
Thanks for watching.